I generally find that if I'm gonna have an imaginary argument in my head, it happens in the shower. That's where I have my best imaginary arguments, and there are always these fucking barnstorming showdowns, very cinematic. Um, and I find that you've got some kind of like big and minor dramas happening in your life, and it's almost like practice for this shit that you put yourself through. And one thing I've noticed is that I always fucking win them in my waking life. When I have an imaginary argument, I'm a fucking hero. Like I'm not quite I think I grew out of the phase where I was a child and I was basically considering myself to be Bruce Willis, beating the fuck out of people, um, whomever wronged me. But now it's just my weapon is my tongue, my sharp, spicy tongue, and yeah, and it's interesting because I feel like I don't completely demonize my enemies in these imaginary arguments. I kind of they're kind of they're lifelike, but I'm definitely strong manning myself and not really helping them out in terms of the arguments, and hence I always come out on top. Makes you wonder: are you actually preparing for a potential argument, or is this just the epitome of emotional masturbation? Another weird thing about an imaginary argument in your head, or at least my ones, is that at the end, there's always complete closure on the argument. There's a totality and a sense of completeness to the conflict where it's like, yes, resolved, next issue, which is kind of cathartic in a sense. So maybe it does kind of give you a reprieve from like the stuff that you're worrying about, where you're like, well, I can put that behind me. That's done. Whereas arguments in real life, messy as fuck. There's like a sense of desperation once you've entered into an argument to get out all your points and, fucking like a lawyer. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury. And you come out and just start pitching like Matthew McConaughey in a 90s crime thriller. But I feel like once you've entered into the thrust of an argument, for me, there's a sense of desperation because you're like, oh my God, we could yell at one another till we're blue in the face and this is not going to be resolved. Like time is the thing that resolves the argument, or you just get distracted by some other conflict, and that's what needs to happen. No such thing in an imaginary argument, though. You can really fucking put a nice bow on it and be like, looks pretty good, ready to sit under the Christmas tree of arguments that I've won. So that's the imaginary argument. Do you win them all the time as well? But the one place I don't win arguments is in dreams. If I get into an argument in a dream, and again, this is something where it's like it's something that's bothering you in your real life. You're like, there's an impending argument about to happen. I'm chewing on it. I'm thinking about like, oh, what's my strategy going to be? If you have that argument in a dream, it's always infuriating. Like I find that I just end up like the person I'm arguing with. They always win, not always, but they have like a slack jawed demeanor where they're just like looking at me nonplussed, or kind of just like, why are you getting so worked up? And I get even more worked up and blue in the face and screaming at them in the dream argument, and then I wake up, heart rate through the roof, being like, well, can't consider that a victory. So yeah, I never find myself getting completely dominated by my opponents in dream arguments, but they tend to win just because they have a look of vacancy on their face. Pretty vacant, but we don't care. And yeah, it's frustrating. So yeah, let me know. I want to know if this is a me thing or if this is a you thing or if this is an us thing. Hit me up in the comments, babe.